So I looked up at Penn and I said, what do I do now? And he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, say thank you and go away.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining us again on the Jason Chambers podcast. Today, a really interesting person with an interesting background. And I think the best way to explain Chris Rose is arguably one of the most prolific magicians I've ever seen in person and on TV. Chris, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Jason. It's a pleasure to see you. It's been a while.
I forgot to say that you're also running for Republican Party nominee. Like, you posing for a dollar bill? What's going on over there?
Yes, exactly.
That's
maybe one of these days I'll be right next to Franklin. So
is that like a real? I can't ever get the pocket napkin to fold well. Like I just end up taking regular napkins and just sticking them in there. That's very dapper of you. How many? Is that like a perfect square? Because there's like 30 different ways to fold those, right?
Yeah, it's just folded flat and shoved in there as simply as possible.
Do you feel like, okay, so obviously you're into magic. We'll get into that in a second, but do you feel like whenever you're out in public, you should at least have one or two tricks on you at all times? Is that like a police officer always being ready with handcuffs? Like as a magician, do you have to walk out with like a rabbit stuffed somewhere?
I used to, like, especially in high school when I first really got into it. I had magic on me all the time. Now I do carry a couple of things, but honestly, I forget about them. Because
you forget about them. How does that work? You're taking a shower one day and you're like, how did that get there?
No, that's right. I keep a couple of quick things in my wallet, but
okay,
because I'm not seeking that attention every time I go out, I honestly forget about it.
Yeah, sure.
It's usually not until an opportunity presents itself, or let's just say somebody were to recognize me while I was out and about, I could stop and do, one or two things for them real quick. But yeah. So I don't walk around with a rabbit stuffed in my hoo-ha. So
because I think if you did, PETA is now sponsoring our show.
Yeah, right.
So that's a whole different show you don't want to watch. But so yeah, I've known you for several years, and obviously you started as doing some close-up magic in some local restaurants, and just having stayed in contact with you, the next big thing I saw was you're on Penn and Teller's Fool Us. How did that come about? What was it like?
Oh my. Well, the producers they called me out of the blue, or they reached out to me via email. I don't remember exactly. And they requested that I audition. And I had already been in the process of generating a video to audition for the Magic Castle in Hollywood. So I pulled a couple of routines from that particular video.
So for the people that are listening that don't know what Magic Castle is, that's like the equivalent of like getting into Hogwarts, right? Like it's like the top of the top for the heap.
Yeah.
Magic Castle is like Hogwarts in a lot of ways. If you're like a super awesome magician, you get to go here.
Exactly. The Magic Castle is it's a private supper club. It's actually the clubhouse for what's called the Academy of Magical Arts. Just like any other, sports or hobby, there are clubs, and one of them is the Academy of Magical Arts. So in order to be able to go to or get into the Magic Castle, you either have to be a member or be invited by a member to get in. And it's an entire evening's experience. You go to the close-up gallery and see something up close, then you go and have dinner, and then you can go see a stage show or a parlor show, or
I forget how I was.
Bars.
Yeah, I was there once. I was there once with a girlfriend one time. I forget how I even got in, but I remember it was like a big deal. Like it's not just like a restaurant you can go as a tourist, and it's really hard to get in unless you like know somebody. But it was such a cool experience. I won't give away all the tricks and gimmicks in there, but there's some really funny stuff there, like in the bar, and like I was like, oh, this is great. I like the whole place is gaffed. It's awesome. So if you're in Hollywood, check it out if you can, I guess. But sorry, go on.
So to come back, I took one of the videos that I thought was not a card trick, and I submitted that for season 2 of Fool Us. And they apparently had another magician there with a very similar name, Christopher James Rose, who's based out of Vegas. And I think they moved me to season 3 because they didn't want any sort of like confusion going on there. So I got a call back from season 3. They asked if there was anything else that I could provide them. And the routine that actually fooled them, I kind of sent to them as on a whim. I was like, well, this one's a little different. And they really liked both of them. And they asked me to take what for me was 2 6-minute routines, so a total of 12 minutes worth of material. They said, can you combine them both and do it under 5 minutes? And
so they want to know what the actual routine is that you're going to do in the actual audition. So you can't like audition with here's a cool trick and then the day of you like here's something different I want to do. They know from the get-go like this is what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So you get like one shot out of the gate to kind of impress them then.
Pretty much. Yeah. I've had several conversations with other performers that like they were known for a particular routine and but they wanted to present something different. And usually what happens was they would bring them on the first year with a routine that they're known for, that they would put kind of a spin on. And then if they were to return, then that's when they would open up the idea of, them doing a routine that they haven't seen or the general audience haven't seen yet. So, but being an unknown at the time, I just threw them whatever it was that I had and they liked it. They asked me to combine it. I freaked out for about 2 months, re-scripted, I basically had to rework both routines. Had to learn a few more pieces of sleight of hand in order to be able to accomplish what I wanted to do. And walked into it fully not expecting to fool them at all. During the filming for the B-roll, the director looked at me and he says, so are you going to fool them? And I said, no. There was like one moment where maybe if either Penn or Teller sneezes at just that right time and they're just not looking right, maybe, but I personally was thinking of a different area in the routine versus what actually fooled them.
Do you think that thinking that you weren't going to fool them was more a reflection of you thought the trick was just maybe too easy to figure out, or was it just that you held them in such high esteem that are Penn and Teller really so good they can figure out like 95% of the way they see things done based on a few different mechanics they understand?
They're very well educated when it comes to magic in general. They've been around for years. They've seen a ton of stuff. The routine that I did was based off of a couple of other performers that I had seen in the past. And I added my own kind of kicker ending to it. But I honestly didn't expect that it was going to fool them at all. So much so that when I was standing on stage with, like, when they said you fooled us and they're handing me the trophy and they're coming up and shaking my hand, the place is going nuts. I had never rehearsed what to do or say if I did fool them. Because I didn't expect.
That's funny.
So I'm literally standing on stage. I have Teller on my right, I have Penn on my left, and Allison on the other side of him. And whenever I get to a point where I don't know something, I ask. So I looked up at Penn and I said, what do I do now? And he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, say thank you and go away. So I said, thank you. I'm going away now. So that was how I got off stage.
But yeah, that's funny. I feel like Penn, I can never tell when I see Penn, like I've never met him in person, but when I see him, I'm like, because he kind of plays the dick, I'm like, I wonder how much this is an act, to be honest. But like, he's so good at that sarcasm, that humor, that he's such impeccable timing. You have no idea if this guy's like that or not in real person. That's what's really in real life. But,
and I kind of have to agree with you because I did spend a little bit of time with him. So part of the prize package was the coveted Fool Us trophy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
FU, and, official FU.
Yeah, that's right. And then we also, if you succeed in fooling them, then you're invited back to close one of their live performances at their theater at the Rio.
Oh, nice.
So I got a chance to go back and spend a few minutes with them both before the show and a little bit afterwards.
Did they pay you for
And
that, or is that something you're like obligated? Hey, you've won the honor of working for free, because that there's a lot of shit out there.
pretty
like
much,
that. Congratulations,
yeah.
this will be good for your reel, kid. You know.
We actually had the option of either going and closing the show or taking like a cash prize.
Oh,
and
okay.
I didn't go for the cash prize because of more about the experience. One of the reasons why I even did the show was because I had never been a part of a nationally televised program, and I was just really curious about what went on behind the scenes. And honestly, what better way to see that is to be a part of it. So I opted to go for the experience afterwards, and they have a couple of like guest waiting rooms backstage. One of them is called the Monkey Room, and I was sitting in the Monkey Room after I had spoken with the stage manager, and they were coming back for something else. They're like, "Wait here, we'll come back for you." And in walks Penn, and I stood up and held out my hand. And I said, "Hi, Penn, I'm Chris Rose." And he goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." And honestly, for a second, I was like, "Why?" And then I went, "Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm on your show." Yeah, you probably have some understanding of the work that's going to happen today.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny. You're like, I'm so flattered. I know you as well. It's funny.
So, but both Penn and Teller, and honestly, the entire crew, they were amazing. And for those that don't know, they filmed the entire season in 2 weeks.
Wow, that's a lot of taping.
They're filming as many as 62 to 65 acts for 52 time slots, and so it is clockwork. They're cranking people out.
Yeah,
but even with that tight schedule, everybody was just amazing. The crew, the cast, they were all there to. They all had the same goal. We all did, which was to provide a good performance for everybody involved.
Do you like if like so you get to hang out with Teller and Penn? Did Teller talk at all?
Of course.
Really? That's just so he's only quiet during the. Damn, that's
right.
He's got me. I'm like, this guy's. I can never tell if this guy's like, some of those guys stay in character the whole time, right? Like that's like the old theater thing, like, oh, you're in character all the whole time. So like, right. I was just wondering, like, if off stage he was still just like miming and giving like thumbs ups and shit. I'm like, that would really.
No, he's actually got a very melodious voice. Again, he's super intelligent.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Big Bang Theory, he is Amy Farrah Fowler's dad.
Yeah.
In some of the later seasons, and that's a speaking part for him.
It's probably a very similar demographic that watches both The Big Bang Theory and Magic Specials. I was in it.
We're all nerds at some point. That's right.
Yeah. It's hey, look, people give magic, they talk shit on magicians all the time. But I was a nerd when I was a kid growing up, and I'd get $5 and I ran to like the store to go buy some generic trick. And as I got older and stuff, that was like my first like autonomous job was when I was like 14 years old doing birthday parties and stuff to make a few bucks. But yeah, that was always fun. And then I started carrying around some random stuff too, and I was always impressed by other magicians and stuff like that. And like obviously the trajectory went completely different. That was very much a hobby for me, but it's funny. I can appreciate that stuff with him. So you're on Penn and Teller. How long after you guys taped that show did the actual episode air, and then how did it go afterwards?
So I had to keep my mouth shut for 6 months. We filmed in April, and my episode didn't air until middle of September. And there was admittedly a couple of people like my wife and a couple of close friends that helped keep me calm during my freak out time of recreating these routines. And we had a view party here in town. And my mom and several family members and friends, of course, all showed up. But I didn't even tell my mom because I wanted to see her reaction to it live. But that was a really tough secret to keep. But the contract helped.
Knowing I was getting my dick suit off really motivated me to not say anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you're probably liable for like the production episode value and then any value that they lost. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I don't
And
know.
I knew when I was going to do the return performance before I knew if my episode was even going to air.
Oh, so
Uh,
even they don't air every episode on just based on that trick was not as good as I thought it was. Here's a new trick. Poof, episode's gone.
there were some people, of course, they over filmed the acts in order to be able to kind of mix and match. So that's why during all of the filming, especially in season 3 at least, Allison is wearing the same outfit the entire season, and Penn and Teller are wearing the same suits and ties, so that they could pick an act out and put it into whatever episode it was that they wanted. They would have that continuity throughout the whole thing.
Did you ever see Penn's
So,
house?
I have not.
So ironically, my wife watches what's it called? I think it's called like Wife Swap, which sounds like a much more fun show than it really is. It's just the guys are like celebrity wife swap.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically they just take two families and they just swap out the wives to show like the differences of one lifestyle to another and stuff. And the celebrity one, Penn and Teller Penn was just on there. He's got the craziest house. I'm gonna give my graphics guy something to do for the YouTube video. Here, we're going to show you his house, and then we're going to give him 5 more seconds to see it. And here, you got to cut and edit out. So it's a cool house. It looks like it's like 6 different things put together. So, but he's an interesting character. It seems like he'd be. So after Penn and Teller airs, your show aired. Everyone was impressed. You didn't tell anybody whether or not you fooled them. Did you tell like your wife?
I did.
You got to tell like anyone that says like, oh yeah, I was just on Jeopardy and I can't tell you how it went. And everyone tells one person for sure. I'm probably not posting on social media, but yeah, you got to have like that. So, so after that, like, did you think that was going to be like this huge tipping point? Like, I made it finally. Now Vegas, my own show, because I think a lot of people don't realize like it's a fucking grind, man. Like that's like you got to hustle to make that anything afterwards. Like the illusion of like, hey, you're gonna go do this thing. It's a challenge. Like you guys are like you're working like a regular workhorse, man, to like make ends meet, doing something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, it is very much a non-traditional way of making a living. That's for sure. And as far as what has happened afterwards, I can't say that my phone was ringing off the hook. I have been approached by other television series, and I've chosen not to participate in those, at least as of yet. But what it has done is it's given me the ability to not have to toot my own horn. So.
Well, sorry. We're gonna cut this.
What?
I'm so
do
high.
I need to go?
No. I want in my head I had this funny comment. I'm like, have you thought about going back in time to be a wizard?
Oh, I got the back in time part, but
I was like, I'm sorry. I just thought it was too much caffeine. I said, my comment was, have you thought about going back in time to be a wizard?
No,
because I feel like if you had like the knowledge, could you imagine like how fucking like you'd be a deity if you could go back in time and open up a wallet and there's fire? They'd be like, holy shit! They'd have statues of you in like 3 seconds flat. Like right, like you're such a
either
great
that
magician.
or you end up being burned at the stake. Like,
And it's probably a gamble. It might be worth taking. Like on one hand you have like deity, the other hand you have like the opposite of whatever a deity is,
right.
and not a good day. But you could like fool the heck out of them. So you get off a Penn and Teller. And then I remember you called me and you were talking about doing this philanthropic endeavor specifically for our men and women that are overseas, magicians on mission. What's that about?
Well, let me give you a little bit of a kind of a backstory on that, if you don't mind. So after Penn and Teller, I was invited to be a part of a team of magicians to go and perform for our active duty military who were stationed overseas. We went to Southwest Asia. So it was me and 4 other guys. We had our tour manager, Bob, who was a professional comedian. He put this team together and called me up and said, hey, what would you think about going overseas for a couple of weeks and performing for our service members? And knee-jerk reaction to that was, yes, absolutely. I didn't even think about where we were going or how long it was going to be for. It was.
Where did you go and how long was it for?
So it was a 16-day tour.
Okay.
We went to Bahrain, Kuwait. So we started in Kuwait. So Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, and Djibouti, Africa. And
That's a tough sell for a vacation.
yeah, it was fun. I had a great time. Got to build some relationships with people that some of the other performers that were there. Local gentleman here, his name is Michael Finney. It has a very great reputation within the magic community. David Malik and Jim Leach are both phenomenal performers as well. And to be able to go out and perform for a military, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew it was going to be fun. It was, again, I tend to do things for the experience of doing them. And I knew that I would probably never spend my own money to go to Djibouti, Africa.
Yo, that's like you spend your own money to get rescued from Djibouti, Africa.
Right.
It doesn't seem like, I can't remember the last time someone's like, "Where you at?" "Oh, I'm just in Djibouti, Africa, just fucking hanging out, getting a tan." You know,
exactly. So yeah, it was a phenomenal experience all the way around. But the thing that was, unbeknownst to me at the time, very life changing was, like 2 days into my first tour, I looked at Bob and I said, "Why isn't this happening more? We should be doing this all the time." Because I know that Bob and Michael Finney had been doing, volunteer tours like this for both the USO and the Armed Forces Entertainment for like 20 years. But they would go out like once a year as kind of their way to say thank you and to pay it forward. But I really kind of looked at it and I said, this is amazing. And the transformations that I saw with our service members within minutes of the show starting was, they would come into the theater and you could just see they were excited about something new being there, but they were exhausted. They were tired. Some of them were, missing home. I mean, you could just see it written over their faces. And then within minutes of the show starting, smiles and wide eyes and laughter and that the gasp of amazement.
were you guys part of like a bigger production that was happening, or would they just decide they wanted to bring over some magicians to entertain?
So our tour, to explain the Armed Forces Entertainment, they are a branch within the Air Force. So they are tasked with bringing entertainment in the forms of bands, cheerleader groups.
So they're the ones that like brought in like Bob Hope in the 50s and like Marilyn Monroe.
That was a different group. That's the USO. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the USO.
Gotcha.
So the USO is a privately run 501c3 nonprofit. But they do a lot more than just entertainment. They have a myriad of veteran services that they provide for active duty veterans and their families.
Okay.
But the Armed Forces Entertainment also handles the travel and logistics for the acts for the USO. So,
gotcha.
So they kind of go hand in hand. So our tour group, we visited these different countries, and like I said, it was amazing to see the transformation. But what I noticed was, or at least my desire, was to do it more often. And so I thought, what if we were to get all of the best magicians from like North America together under one banner brand and do our own tours, get these groups together, work either with work either with the USO or the Armed Forces Entertainment or the MWR, not necessarily be in competition with them. So what I'd really like us to be is the go-to organization for magic for active duty. And we're working on our way getting there.
So you guys went over there one time for 16 days. The first thing that came to my mind, and I just was like, I gotta ask, I don't even know. How was like did you eat mostly on base there, or did you ever get authentic Kuwaiti food? Now, what the hell is that? Like, that was like the first thing that just went. I'm like, right. What does that even taste like?
The food was amazing. Yes.
Was it really?
We did get an opportunity in outside of, not in Djibouti, because we weren't allowed off the military installation. Djibouti doesn't have the infrastructure to be able to handle service members on leave. It's also a very dangerous area as well. So
So is
our service members,
this is
go ahead.
this is while you were in Djibouti?
Correct.
That just sounds funny to say.
It's hard to say. It's taken me a
It's
long time not to
so
laugh
many.
at that
It's
word.
hard to say in Djibouti. Oh boy, there's
Correct.
so many sexual innuendos in that statement. Oh my god, like Djibouti doesn't sound like a place. It sounds like a failed J-Lo like a reality show. Like,
It's yeah, but by contrast, it's a very third world environment.
mhm.
Um,
What's like
honestly,
authentic food there like? What are they? What's
I
their?
don't know what the food in Djibouti was like.
Oh,
However,
okay.
we did have food in both Kuwait, Bahrain, and UAE. So we were able to, um, actually, no, not UAE. It was Bahrain and Kuwait, and they have something over there that are called doners. They're very similar to like a Greek gyro,
Okay,
and it's like their fast food,
that's their. Oh,
and it
cool.
was amazing and like super cheap. And then we went to a couple of places that were a little bit more of like a sit down, traditional food, that kind of thing. And honestly, I came back from that first trip, and I personally I love to cook, so I learned how to make chicken tikka masala because of
Ah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
Indian, right? Yeah, I love
Mhm.
chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. You
So
get gas for days though if you don't make it right. You gotta be careful.
if you don't make it right, you'll agree with
You gotta,
that.
yeah,
So
like, but so you were over there 16 days. Now you came back. Have you guys been back since, or have you personally been back since?
yes, we have been back.
Is this through
We've been
Magicians on
we've been
Mission or
invited
solo?
back. Say
Okay.
again.
Is this through your organization, or is this back again through the
Through the
government?
Armed Forces Entertainment. Yeah.
Okay.
So Bob got a call just a couple months later asking us if we would be available for April 2018, and that came and went without any further communication. Then we were invited back for July 2019, and both of those were canceled due to lack of funding. So we got an additional invitation to go back in October of 2019, and apparently that's when their fiscal year starts. So they had the money to bring us over that time.
And that's what's crazy. Like the government prints so much money. Like we can print fucking trillions of dollars to bail out shady ass banks, but when like our servicemen and women need some like mental relief and some like sense of self, like the first thing they do is they cut out like this fucking $20 million budget like line item because they just so it's crazy. Like what were the experiences like? From the mental health, this has taken really such a forefront over the last few years. And what were your experiences like? Did you get a chance to talk to some of the men and women there and get any feedback on your show?
Yeah. So after every performance that we do, so we have two different styles of performance that we did. But after the evening program, we have a meet and greet. So we have basically they're called autograph cards with pictures of each person on the tour, and we would sign autographs and take pictures and shake hands. One of my things at the end of my shows now is I give away free hugs, and
That's how COVID started.
I,
Now we found it.
blame it on me.
It wasn't Wuhan. It was a fucking Kuwaiti magician.
Exactly. So I was actually really surprised at how many of our service members just wanted to have some sort of a physical connection, be it a handshake, arm on the shoulder while we're taking a picture, or I got a bunch of hugs from both men and women because they just needed that connection to something that was outside of their everyday.
Right.
It's
Reminds them
been
of home. It's the closest thing they can get to like hugging a relative, probably, right? Like it's
exactly.
that mental thing is so different. It's not especially when you're in the armed forces, and I can't really speak because I was never in the armed forces, but I would imagine that mindset is you're on 24/7. Even when you're off, you're still on. It's so crazy that like that mental relief of being able to forget where you are, what you're doing, that your life's at stake because some tool bag 5,000 miles away said, hey, we got to go get that oil. It's like it's insane. Right. So the people that you got a chance to speak to, are they looking forward to you guys coming back, and how did you actually decide to start the organization?
Well, I started the organization partly because we got canceled a couple of times, and I was like, you know what? I want to work again. I don't really want to be in competition with. I want to work with the Armed Forces Entertainment. I want to be able to provide this kind of a service, but they need additional support. So I figured, why not me?
You mean like funding support?
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, yes.
Or do they have
Yeah,
infrastructure?
they don't have the budget necessary to be able to provide adequate entertainment all year long. So even if our organization only fills that gap, then we're bringing a whole bunch of good to the world.
Mhm.
So when I started thinking about it, it was again bringing the best magicians together. I'm not going to be doing bands or like a comedian tour or sports or anything like that, because I don't really know those worlds. What I know is the world of magic, and I can connect our best performers and some of our up and coming performers with the people that are helping to keep them safe, and yeah, just be able to provide that kind of connection to home. So what we're really looking to do is positively affect the psychological health and well-being of our service members while they're deployed overseas. And I'm concentrating largely on overseas because they have very limited time and choices for stress release or recreation. I mean, these men and women are working like 16 plus hours a day. They're in a constant state of hypervigilance. You were saying this earlier. It's just like when you're always on, no matter what they're doing, even if they're in their off time or their leave time. Sometimes they don't have anywhere to go other than the MWR building where they can go and play pool or watch a movie or something along those lines. But after a year of seeing the same place over and over again, it becomes
Gotta feel like prison.
drudgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, what, and having that kind of isolation leads to a whole myriad of potential other problems.
Right. It's like a cascading effect. Like if you're not in a
Exactly.
good place mentally, you're not having a good day, and if you're not having a good day, your squad's not having a good day, and then they're having a good week, and then you lose that thing. Yeah, it's like the butterfly effect, and that's crazy. So if people want to do more research on this, or find videos, or get in contact with you, or support, or want to collaborate, or just want to see you pull a quarter out of a place a quarter shouldn't be, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me and our organization is through our website, which is magiciansonmission.org. And if you're ever feeling down about yourself, or you just need a friendly ear or something like that, like as an American, I completely support your endeavor. It has nothing to do with politics. I just care about you as a person. So yeah, feel free to write me a note and let me support you in whatever ways it is that I can. So
awesome. Well, go check out magiciansonmission.org. And then Chris, you're on Instagram all the time. What's your Instagram handle, man?
Oh gosh. Well, if we're going with the organization, basically search Magicians on Mission through any social media platform. We've got some sort of a presence. It's getting better over time. But if you're looking to connect with me personally, you can search Chris Rose Magic. That's pretty much what I use for all of my social media handles. And
man, it's been great having you on. I really appreciate you being a good sport. And go check out Chris, and go check out magiciansonmission.org.